Hey y'all, what's going on? It is me, Guillotine. If you're familiar with my content, you're probably asking yourself two questions right now. Number one, this isn't ACES. What is this? Well, this is Liquidation. What is Liquidation? Liquidation is a tactical RTS game. It is on PC. It just went into early access, so you can download the demo right now. I will have a link in the description as well as a link to the community Discord. You can expect gameplay similar to Warcraft 3 and Warhammer 40k Dawn of War. You fight off creeps to capture these resource points, and then you build up an army large enough to go and defeat your enemy. I've been testing gameplay now for a few months, and I really think that you're going to enjoy it, so if you've got a PC, you should definitely swing over to Steam and pick it up. The gameplay is very impressive, it's very fluid, especially for being primarily a solo dev project. Being that the game is in early access right now, you can only play versus AI, but there are two 1v1 maps. There is a 3v3 map as well as a 4-player free-for-all map. Campaign, multiplayer, and replays are in the plans for the future. Now, the second question you're probably asking yourself is, gee, where in the hell have you been? Apart from putting in an embarrassing amount of time into Baldur's Gate 3, I've been doing a little bit of 3D modeling for the project. Only one of my assets are in early access, but I'm hoping to get those maps looking spick and span in time for the full release. Apart from that, I just really haven't had time to create and edit content. I've barely had enough time to even play ACES. I've really just been maintaining my rank, which isn't even that impressive at the moment. But this is not an ACES video, it is a Liquidation video, and I would love to be able to show off some gameplay. So here in a second, I'm going to jump into a game. You can only play as one of 3 eventual playable factions, so right now we'll be playing as the Crusade. Set to brutal difficulty, and yellow is my favorite color. This nice little loading screen will fill you in on all the things you might need to know, and the game won't start until you hit spacebar. So the game starts like this. You've got 2 workers and 2 mining columns already built that will mine this main resource that is sort of like a purple crystal-y mineral type thing called quinrium. If you're familiar with StarCraft 2, you'll notice right away that this is a lot fewer workers than you're probably used to. It took me a little bit of getting used to, but it makes a whole lot more sense. The workers are more serviceable in a battle, and also these mining columns, they mine 8 minerals per refresh, but the workers can go and support a mining column, making it 10. With fewer workers, there's more of a focus on building units, so I've already put down a garrison and a meditation chamber to start unit production. Garrison works like a barracks. It's what is going to allow me to train my infantry troops, or at least most of them. Meditation chamber is where you build your heroes. I really like that in Liquidation. The heroes are not overpowered in the least bit. They're really support units more than anything else. If you're an RTS veteran, you'll notice I've already started setting up some control groups. I've got my stronghold, which is like my main castle, nexus, whatever, on control group 4. I've got my production buildings on 5 that you can tab through. And then I will eventually put my upgrade building on 6. And I like my 1 and 2 control groups to be for army. The standard hotkeys are very similar to the grid setup, so if you're used to that or want to get used to that, it's a very seamless transition from other games. Basically, your left hand never has to move. After my first few units are done producing here, we're going to grab them and a few workers and go up and take our first capture point. This is going to allow us to build more mining columns, expand our economy. This is how macro works in Liquidation. You defeat the creeps, you get more quinrium. There's also a secondary resource called Intel. It's your tech resource, and we'll get to that a little bit later. So once these creeps are cleared, you'll then just click on that quinrium node, and then you'll see a little timer graphic pop up above it. And once that is completely filled up with your color, you can then start building around it. The more units you have sitting around it, the faster you will capture it. I don't want to necessarily force you to listen to my voice the entire game, so from here on out I will shut up and kind of just talk whenever important things are happening. I'm regrouping right now, building a few more units, increasing my supply by building these supply buildings. Armory's going down, that's going to allow me to upgrade my units. And this little node right here is the secondary resource. You capture it and it produces intel. And after you capture it, you'll be able to, there's a few add-ons that you can put onto the building. One that helps you increase the rate that you mine, one that increases vision around it, and you can also place static defenses attached directly to it. One cool feature that you might have just noticed is that ranged units also have a melee attack. So the game rewards micro in a sense of if you can get a melee unit close up on a ranged unit, they will then have to swap their attack for a weaker attack. The game definitely encourages a lot more micro than some of the other RTS on the market. Control groups are also capped, so it's not as drastic as StarCraft Brood War, which was limited to 12, I believe. It's closer to, I think it's 24 is the cap, so if you're able to kind of split your attention and have multiple army groups around the map constantly harassing these capture points, it's definitely going to benefit you. Something that's a little bit harder to show off, but another cool feature that's in the game is that the AI is very variable. Playing on brutal difficulty, sometimes they will completely embarrass me, and sometimes I win the match. The AI does not build the same every time. Sometimes it goes for a really aggressive push, you know, maybe around 10-ish minutes into the game. Sometimes it expands a lot. Sometimes it goes heavy into mech units. Sometimes it goes heavy into bio units. This race here, the Crusader race, if I was going to draw a equivalent to StarCraft, which is probably the RTS that I'm most familiar with, very similar to Terran in a sense, but I really like that you don't have to commit to mech or bio. You can have a very mixed army, and the mech units can seem really strong, but there's a lot of counters for them as well. And in the future, I'll be really interested to see how this interacts with the other playable races.
Moving now. Whatever it is, I'll do it. Whatever it is.
Building completed. We have encountered the enemy. Research completed.
So right here, you'll notice my hero just died. 2 creeps. I kind of didn't realize that there was more up top, and then thought he could maybe solo them, but then he died. So yeah, just further proof that they are not godlike by any means, but no big deal. Just rebuild them. They don't cost that much Quirium to build. They do cost a bit of intel though, and intel is a bit scarce. It diminishes over time as well, so it's not necessarily my first priority when capturing a new resource. However, kind of mid to late game, you want to make sure that you've got a few of those points captured and locked down.
I'm honored that you require my skill.
We have captured a monolith.
So this little thing in the middle here looks kind of like an angel statue. It's called a Celestial. It is an intel node, but it also comes with an added perk. If you capture the Celestial and you have a tier 3 stronghold, you can build a special unit called a Judicator. They're very tanky unit. They've got a Warhammer and a cape. They look pretty freaking cool. They do AoE damage. They're a very good counter to heavy like mech armies, but they also have great crowd control versus infantry. And so it's definitely a point of interest on the map. So far there is one on every map, and it's usually just right there in the center. Only having one, it does make for some interesting interactions with team games. You know, when you're playing with AI, sometimes the AI will just go and take it even though you were trying to capture it, but when you play with actual humans, it'll be interesting to see, you know, do people swap off with the Celestial, or does one player say, hey, I want to get my celestial unit, and so, you know, your teammates kind of allow them to build and tech to that. I'm assuming each playable faction will have a Celestial unit, and so yeah, I think it's a cool feature, and I'm excited to see how it evolves. I'm a total scrub and got supply blocked here because I was focused on a fight, so I'm building some more supply buildings. Supply does cap at 80, so significantly less than StarCraft, but the fights do still feel pretty big. You don't have so many workers, so I would probably say the army sizes might be kind of comparable. They're probably a little bit smaller than StarCraft, but it's not as small as you would think when you first hear, you know, that supply is capped at 80.
Building completed. We have encountered the enemy.
The colors look really good on the units. The yellow doesn't pop as much, just because Crusade features so much gold tones, but that teal color looks really great on that unit. I love colors in RTS games. Total nerd, I know. I kind of miss the Brood War days where like it was a random color, but I do like being able to pick yellow. But I'm a huge fan of color options. Maybe I'll get lucky and they'll add more. I kind of like long for a day where there's like you can pick your own color completely, like there's like a color wheel. Anyways, things that don't matter, right? I pulled my units away from capturing this node right here because I didn't want to completely lose this fight. And you can see that my opponent kind of swept in behind me and has started to build some columns on that Quinrium node. So as soon as I clean this up, I'm just going to head right back over there and try to keep denying that base.
Are you in need of my unparalleled expertise? Go.
Unit ready. Unit ready.
I didn't comment too much earlier about the heroes. There are two heroes right now. One is a melee unit with a single spell that I think I show later, and the other is a spellcaster that can summon like this fire elemental and also has a spell that like rains down fireballs in an area. The melee unit kind of casts like this laser like ray down and it moves in a straight line. It does a lot of damage.
Unit ready. Unit ready.
This world must be cleansed of these inhuman. Instructions received. This world must be cleansed of these inhuman beasts.
Building completed.
No obstacle stand.
Unit ready. Unit ready. Unit ready.
I'm going. Our time has come. What is your will?
We have encountered the enemy.
This world must be cleansed of these inhuman beasts.
Unit ready.
Our time has come. At your command.
We have captured
So seeing this red beam right here shows me that he's upgrading his Royal Guard. Royal Guard has like a Gatling gun type situation, which is generally very anti-infantry, but the upgrade makes them more of an anti-mech unit. So that tells me I don't really want to invest a whole bunch in mech just yet. Like I said earlier, it's not necessarily like StarCraft where you have to pick one or the other. He can transition just as easily as myself. So I'm going to right now invest in more bio units, but I don't want to go mech just yet.
Unit ready. Building completed.
I'm also planning on capturing the Celestial soon because I want to start producing some Judicators because they're really good in any situation. And I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. After I capture this point right here, my opponent will be on just one Quinrium node. If I was versus a player, I would maybe feel comfortable in going in for the kill right now. I think player versus player fights will be much shorter right now than player versus AI, especially the brutal AI, because the brutal AI cheats. It gets, I think, plus 75% resource coming in. And so even on one base, they can be pretty tough. So I'm always constantly expanding, trying to make sure that I'm ready, because as soon as you wipe an army, another one's ready to come fight.
Unit ready.
Understood. Awaiting orders.
Unlike the other Intel nodes, you cannot add any add-ons to the Celestial, so it just kind of is what it is. You can send a worker and build some static defenses near it if you want, which I don't know, could be a fun strategy to explore, but for now it's kind of just naked and out in the open.
Building completed. Building completed. Building completed. Building completed. Building completed. Unit ready. Building completed. Unit ready.
Standing by.
Building completed. Unit ready. Unit ready.
Alright, my tier 3 stronghold upgrade just finished up, and I have the Celestial, so that means I can now produce these Judicators, which are produced from the Twilight Shrine. I think you can only build like 3 or 4 of them also, so it's not like you're going to face someone that's just going to mass them across the map. They also cost a ton of intel, so you want to make sure that you're getting good value out of them.
We have captured a monolith. Building.
I did want to make sure that I at least showed off some mech units for you today, so I'm going to build some here in a second. I really like these Obliterators. I think it's one of the cooler unit models in the game. It's very large, and it's kind of like a really slow-moving siege tank that doesn't have to go into a siege position. The damage might not be as drastic as a siege tank in StarCraft 2, but it does big area of effect damage, very long range, but it is very slow-moving. Something right here I'd probably never do in a real match, but wanted to show off too, is that you can use your middle mouse wheel and zoom in and out. If you know you like to enjoy the cinematics here and see the fight from different angles, I think it's a cool feature. And here is the first Obliterator coming out right now. I just wiped the enemy's army, so I want to continue to secure this right side of the map, and I'll probably start sending a secondary army up the left side, and then hopefully I can pin him into his main base. Those Judicators have started coming out. You get a quick look at them right here with the cape and the Warhammer. We'll see them in action here in a second.
At once, my lord. No obstacle will stand.
The enemy's threatening this left side, trying to take this Quinrium back. He's got one of these little scout tanks. I forgot their exact name. They move pretty quick. They can shoot while they move, which is another feature I didn't really talk about earlier. The workers, and I believe also like the gunner units can shoot while they move. So more micro potential. I know a lot of players will really enjoy that. They also have an upgrade which allows them to fire something that kind of looks like a disruptor shot, but rather getting to a point and exploding, it kind of just moves in a straight line, and everything that it crosses, it does damage to. It does a lot more damage than it does in its normal state, and it's definitely good versus infantry. I think these units will be used a lot more in player versus player for harassment. You can get to them fairly quick and kind of drive around the creeps, and you'll be able to maybe snipe down some mining columns that are being built. I think they're going to make a lot of interesting interactions. Here you can also see those Judicators and the Obliterator in action.
As you say. No obstacle will stand. Right away.
I want to show off the hero spells right here. I'm about to cast down the fireball spell. I think here in a second I also do the beam that comes down and totally miscast it and accidentally shoot it towards my own army. So if you're going to cast it, make sure you click, hold, and then aim before letting go. I think that's all I've got to say about this match. Comment down below if you've got any questions. Make sure to download the game, play it, try it out, let me know what you think. And yeah, I'll holler at you all next time. I'll let you just finish the video out from here. Later.
Building completed.
Standing by.
Unit ready.
Standing.
Building completed. a monolith. We have encountered the enemy.
Moving out.
Unit ready. Building completed. Building completed.